let's say good morning, good afternoon for anybody else who's listening. Happy Friday. Super excited to have Ronak give a beautiful natural background. Please give everybody a couple of seconds of who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Ronak Ray. I am based in California, 15 years practicing attorney, largely focused on in-house. And then in the last 5 years, I've started 3 companies, and they've kept me very busy. First law firm I ever worked for was my own, and I don't think I'd ever work for anyone else at this point, but it's been a lot of fun. And Lucy, great to interact. Every time we have time together, I love it.
Super. Okay, so wow, 3 companies. That we're gonna have to get to that in a second. Law firm, 3 companies. So much there. So many ways this can go. Sometimes these conversations end up talking more about career trajectories and moves, and especially when we have entrepreneurs, which somebody once called me an intrapreneur. So when I was in house at Microsoft and doing my shenanigans and changing stuff up and unplanned, just like, hey, this doesn't make sense, let's do it different, and realize, oh, that's kind of all I needed to be labeled an intrapreneur. What does it feel like? What do you think? Because I was at a big firm before that too. How do you think it feels being an intrapreneur at a law firm versus in-house?
It's interesting. I think when it's your own law firm, I feel like you get to shape and mold it. And you think about in-house, the really cool thing is you do get to pick and choose some of the stuff that you work on.
Yeah.
And the common thread that I've found is if you know your strengths, you know what you're really good at, you can start to focus more of your time on those things. And like I'd say for me, I've had so you mentioned career. I've had this like very different career path that I don't think people talk about enough. So I started out in computer science, then went into corporate finance, and then went into risk management, then went into law. So I've had so many different areas of work in the professional setting where I feel like when I started this entrepreneur sort of path, it was how do I not just take the things that I know I'm good at, because I've got to pay for this, right? I can't just be like freelancing all the time, but like, how do I take all the things that I'm good at, but the things that I also enjoy and start combining them together? And I think that's part of how I got to where I am is there is a bit of technology. There's a lot of problem solving and working with people. We're both, in the most general sense, we're problem solvers, right? We love that, consultative approach. I don't see it being any different than what I did in-house. There's a different tension.
Sure. Now, did you work in a law firm too?
I never did.
Oh, you never worked in a law firm? Okay, so that's why my question probably didn't even make sense. So I was thinking about it as like an associate inside of a law firm, and you've got all these exciting ideas. I'm going to just, let me, not bury the lead here. Like it's hard. It is so hard to be an entrepreneur in a law firm where the business model is not necessarily as conducive to creativity, independence, especially on the more junior, lawyer side. And certainly efficiencies are a double-edged sword when you're charging by the hour and you're judged by the number of hours you charged at the end of the year versus in-house where it is if you be efficient or die. I mean, you really can't survive if you're not efficient. And to me, efficiency is really the less sexy word of innovation. Like if you're looking in a less sexy dictionary or thesaurus, efficiencies, like whatever you need to do to be most efficient. Sadly, that's been turned into innovation, but that's only because legal's been so uninnovative for so many decades, maybe. But anywho, I digress. That's why my question was a little squirrely there for you. But tell me a little bit more then about what you've learned in your tech and then finance, and then what led you to what you do now, and tell us what is it you do now. So I'll let you take us.
It's contract. Part of what we do is contract intelligence. I think we work a lot more on how do we take the intelligence of experts and pull them into other avenues of the business, the work they do. How do we get them to do more of the work that they love, right? I think it's a very simple sort of mission, but if you want that person to be, one of the shorthands that I've started using recently is how do you get that person to work in their top 1%? Their top 1% capability is very hard. So it's a way to define how do you enjoy the work you do, How do you do more of it? And how do you start to say no? Because as experts, we've found, okay, the more, challenging the problem, the more complex and layered, the more visible it is. Let's just take it on and let's jump in and say yes to things. Yeah. I think what we've found is if we can give people either technology or humans or maybe even outside expertise that allows them to say no to the things that they don't want to be doing, but really push them to that top 1% achiever, right, bracket. That's the solution, right? And so how do we start building? Level one is you just build trust. You help take away some of that pain, and I think that's a lot of what we're doing right now. So if I look across projects or even just conversations that we're having with people, it's helping them say not efficiency. So you mentioned the word, which is really interesting, right? So a lot of people say, I can't keep up. There's a lot of stuff to do. And contracts team, especially, I know this is a lot of the audience here is there's that inbox and you're having to somehow keep up with the pace, satisfy the business. And I think a lot of what we try to do is get them to ask broader questions that are beyond efficiency, because there's something more there. We really try to focus on like the human, right? To say, okay, you're an expert. I know your expertise is deeper than just, can I get back faster? Can I get back, can I build the best playbook ever? Can I build the best process ever? Those things are interesting, but is it in your top 1%? And for some people it is, right? And so we try to help them find a way to do more of that work.
So that's interesting. You're not approaching it from a what do you want to stop doing? You're approaching it from a what do you want to do, and then somehow that slide shows the obvious of, oh, okay, if these are the only things you want to do, and this other stuff we got to figure out a way to resource differently. And I think it sounds like to me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I see kind of this resource differently as a spectrum of potential solutions that are tech, human, combo, outsourced, rethinking their resource model completely. And I would love to hear your thoughts on. Let me ask you this question. Is 7 minutes in before we said AI, but I did it. I broke my own rule. But is AI another one of the things in that holistic spectrum list of stuff? That's how I look at it. And I'm like, can we not treat it like it in and of itself is, you have to consider it versus just considering what are all the things I can be changing in how I do. And that's one of them. Do you see that way? Like it's a continuum?
I think so. Yeah, and that's why mission is so important. I think if your mission is, let me do this one thing that I'm really excited about. So I think when we have the negative, like what do I want to stop doing? It's a really long list, and it's really hard to prioritize. And I think what we try to do is give people confidence back in their roles to say, so you mentioned AI tends to be a bit more of a black hole where like people have different understandings and it might be biased by the most recent demo or something that they saw. I think the way that we're helping teams look at this differently, and I'm saying this is just like conversation, right? I think what we're trying to get them to do is say, can I build my own roadmap? Can I think about the things that I want to do before I watch that next demo, before I launch the next RFP? So it's about me. Right? It's about my team. It's about my company. It's not about what's on the shelf. That's the newfangled AI thing. Because it's another pick and shovel, right? It's another way to solve the problem. And I mean, you're the pro at this, right? So on the, when do you pull in the technology? Do you have the right process? I feel like that's when I would go, I'd call you. And right. Lucy, are they ready for this thing? But it is this continuum, right? Because I think for the teams that, I think when they're saying AI, what are they really saying? And if you can get deeper into the conversation, not just with your own team internally, hopefully you're doing that before a vendor comes in. But if you can really think holistically about where does the organization need to go, whether you're a law firm, you're even one of these AI companies, or you're serving an in-house department, like the only person who knows the reality of that onion and how many layers you have to back before you could get to something, right? You. Yeah.
It's fascinating that I see over and over again, and I'm curious if you do, so, I mean, I can only beat the drum so much about please understand your process first before you buy any tech. Oh, AI is here now. Please understand your process first before you buy any tech, right? Oh, this Martian invented this other dilemma, Bob. Please understand your process first before you buy. Like, I just don't care. I love all tech. I am, agnostic to the tech, whatever it is. You got to find the right tech that's right for your solution. Yeah, AI, fine. Like, okay, great, but it's not distracting us from our mission of really, you got to know your own onion, to use your word. And I am continuously surprised with how many people, A, don't know their own onion, but don't care to figure it out and are just bullish on, I need, not even tech anymore now. It's just, I need AI. Because I've seen that, evolution in the last, 3 years or so, or 2 years, whatever. It's moved from, what's the best CLM system I should buy? What's the best CLM system I should buy? What's the best CLM? Okay, for a second, can I just ask you, how do the contracts, I don't know, it's kind of a mess. What system should I buy? Exact same conversation. Replace CLM system with AI. What AI should I buy? What AI should I buy? And I really feel like, are you hearing yourself? Like, I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I don't know how to break through. And these are, I'm not going to say these, and these are usually, I'll be transparent, not the best clients. I mean, these really aren't for us, right? We're professional advisors here, and we're going, we know a thing or two. We've been there and done that. You called us because you wanted some advice. We're telling you don't like what we're telling you. And that's kind of almost this truth point too, where we're like, okay, we're at an inflection point. I'm not sure you're going to be happy, no matter what. How do you deal with oh boy, these they're not ready.
Yeah.
What do you do? And are you still seeing that? I mean, nothing's magically changed. People aren't suddenly super educated about how to buy good tech. And yet the fever pitch is like unprecedented right now, right? The FOMO. So how do you address they're not right?
I think part of what we do, it's a great question, because the number of conversations that we have, it is, but you're saying no to customers more than you're saying yes, I'd love to help. And that's challenging, right? Because you see the challenge that they're facing because you've probably been in their seat. And that maybe this is why it makes people like us more effective, right? Because we've been in the seat, we've had the accountability, we know what it's like to be facing the pressure of having to deliver on that next quarter. I think what we sort of take this maturity curve internally to say, it's not that they don't have the answer, can they get to the answer? Do they have the confidence to, they don't know that they're looking for something beyond efficiency or something beyond a CLM or AI. I'm sure you're doing the same thing. It's that deeper assessment of, is there potential here, and can I help this person achieve something beyond what they're looking at today? And and that's when there's a better match, right? It's a better match in the expertise that you could bring in from outside and the potential that organization has to level up. And if it's not a level up conversation, that's okay, right? There's many other people who can help them. And I'm sure you're the same. Like, I will almost always refer them to someone else, whether it's a practitioner or a technology company that does solve their problem, or maybe at least can help them down that path of conversation. But I think that's part of what we're doing as problem solvers, right? Whether the clock is ticking and I'm charging for the time or not, to me, that doesn't matter. There's a reason we got into this, right? You and I could both be doing other things, but I think we did this to help people. And so for the people that we say no to, it is more work, because yes, you're having to think about, okay, well, who can I connect this person to? Right. That's going to help them with their everything is a mess. Yeah. I don't have a plan, and I don't think I'm not empowered.
Right.
To create.
Well, that's the thing. We're on the outside going, hey, this is the recommended path is this thing. You're kind of not listening. I don't know what to do with that. So it's a weird, it's not, I think of technology and we know some really great, providers who walk away from customers because we're not a fit. At least they can direct them to a different system. I feel like in our world, we're kind of going, you came to us to help you pick the right system or to get you towards automation. And yet you don't want to do the homework. And I think that's at the end of the day, this kind of ugly truth, right? We always compare it to we're going to make you eat your veggies. I know you came to us because you really wanted brownies and cake, and you just didn't know which brownie or cake to buy. And we're telling you, no, that's going to make you sick if you don't have some veggies first and maybe a little balanced meal. But I digress on the analogy, and I'm just going to make myself hungry. Let's dig into a little bit more on the tech. We still have, a huge divide of those who understand enough, those who don't understand it still at all and are completely overwhelmed. And then we've got our freshly minted new experts that seem to be born every day that I'm getting a little bit annoyed with, frankly, hearing. So tell us, what does the in-house lawyer today, who's in this kind of chaotic, everything's a mess, I'm getting pressure to automate, I don't know where to start. What would be your advice to that in-house lawyer?
I think, so we started with some of this, right? It's build your own plan before you talk to someone. The people that you talk to, have an inner circle of people that you trust where you can have an open conversation to say, here's like 10 bad ideas. Can you tell me the starting point of some better ideas? Because I think we celebrate community for a reason. There's a narrow set of people who are widely referenced, who have written books, thank you, who want to give more, right, back to their community and say, don't fall into the same traps. This might not be your trap, your circumstance might be different, but we're all smart in the way that we can figure out why we're different than that other person's scenario, but we need to be able to build that plan out ourselves before we go and talk. So I think that's probably, for in-house, that's step one, is just have a better plan and sharpen that plan with multiple conversations with trusted people, and then start going to wider parts of the circle, right? Then you could start pressure testing that plan with other internal stakeholders. One of the things I see teams not doing really all that well is they can articulate, sometimes leadership can, but they can't articulate where the company is going. And so they're doing this big legal or back office transformation thingy, when the underlying business is actually going in a very different direction. And they're solving for a problem that, yes, they feel the pain of for the last 12 months, but it's going to be a fundamentally different business over the next 24. So the shorthand that I've used for this is the last 10 years are going to look very different than the next 5. And if you're going into this with only prior data as the way to predict what's going to happen next, you're solving the wrong problem, or you might be, right? And if the company isn't changing over the next 5 years, is that a broader question for you? Should you take on a big transformation project, right, at a time when the company is, really, maybe efficiency is the word, right? Maybe they need to get 10, 30, whatever percent, smarter, faster, better, cheaper, whatever. And if that's the goal, you could just be very clear about the goal and go get the tech and the process and the version 2.0 of your legal function or contract function that you need to hit that. But very few are going to be staying the same.
Yeah, I love that whole point.
Go ahead.
Sorry, that alignment to the business goals is still so key and fundamental. I mean, for those of us who are in-house, right, we go in-house because we love that part. We love being part of the business. We love being embedded in the business and feel like we're contributing to a business line, right? To a product, to a thing that the company's doing. And we still see, I think, too many lawyers that function, as lawyers for the sake of lawyer. And I'm not demeaning that. I'm just saying they're lawyering. That's what they know how to do, because they're also probably trained in a law firm that the business is lawyering. And so you go in-house and you continue to operate the same way. It just doesn't. It's just not. I'm not saying it doesn't fit, because a lot of corporate law departments are set up like law firms inside of corporations, which is old school, but still is a fact. And it just isn't conducive to the goals of the business. And somehow that still isn't connected, right? So like, I need to be more efficient in my contracting. I need to get, too many deals coming through. I need to do better. Are you doing the right deals? Are you spending the right time on the right things? I think that's your point, is really how do you snap into that enterprise vision. A lot of what we're discovering, and actually that is the subject of, and I'm just being cheeky about it, but I do a new book coming. It's hardly even a book. Let's call it a handbook. But we really started talking about enterprise contracting more, and reminding attorneys who still tend to think of contracting and or contracting technology as this problem their law department has. It seeps out outside of law department, but we still sometimes call it legal tech, and then legal operations is trying to solve it, and it still feels legal focused. And I'm like, well, that it just can't be that. Contracting is an enterprise function. It touches every part of the business. It's a lifeline to the business, and yet somehow legal kind of jams in there as, I don't know, the owner, the doer, the holder, the seer of all things. So I love what you're saying. Do you really understand how your pain point fits into the broader enterprise? Do you see better, more or less, success when you have clients that act and function differently in that regard, or do you have clients outside of the law department? I mean, is there a balance? Like, what's your percentage?
It's 20/80 right now. So 20% of our clients or activity is finance, accounting, chief information security officer, HR.
Okay.
So we're doing, and maybe this is exactly to your point, right? Like, what is the persona of the person that you're thinking can stretch outside of legal? That we do ourselves a disservice when we say, I've got this contracting problem, I'm going to pigeonhole myself. So don't do that, right? If you're thinking about efficiency translated into contracts, you're already thinking a little bit too narrowly, because it's not the enterprise contracting function is not about, can you rip out contracts more efficiently? It still ties to something in a balance sheet, to a P&L. And if you can't tie it back to a business KPI, then it kind of doesn't matter, right? So if you're in a SaaS world, and yes, you're able to rip out contracts faster, maybe you get more ARR that month, that translates somewhat, right? It's still, the ARR is not a P&L balance sheet, right, number. Revenue is, right? So can you tie it back to something? Right. If you're procurement, can you tie it back to cash? Because that's what procurement cares about. And maybe,
that's right.
But this might be the entry point in your book, right? But it's if the more time a legal function can spend outside the legal function and not just speak the words, but own the same metrics that they do, then you're starting down that better path, right? So one of the things that we try to do is say, if we do a lot of like custom automations for these teams, and they're we try to say, is your process afterwards, it's not efficiency, is it kicking off more cash? Because that's measurable. Now you've got the attention of a CFO, you've got the attention of a sales team, right? Because they can translate cash. They can't translate efficiency. They feel efficiency. That's fine, right? They feel being responsive. But is your sort of cardinal metric or your cardinal purpose tied back to something that the business can articulate back to you? The legal team gave me more.
And you have clients so that's a little bit, I'm going to say, it's a different way of thinking for sure than most of the kind of, the in-house lawyers that I've been associated with or that I know. How do they come to you with those words? Do they come to you saying, hey, we need to be able to support the business in a different way? Or, okay, that's what I was going to say. They're like, my contracting has helped me. And then okay, that's what I wanted to know. So you're connecting that.
We're connecting that. And I don't even think we'll end up putting that in the business case, right? But I think it goes back to, is there that hidden potential within this team? Are they seeing beyond? Is there a world beyond efficiency? Because you keep asking, okay, well, let's say you are 3 times more efficient, then what? Are you just going to sit back? Probably not, right? Like, what is that thing that you want to do? And that gets us back to that top 1%. Like, it seems like they want a bunch of, usually it's I want a lot of data about who's demanding legal service from us, so that I could spend more time with them, be more proactive, solve more problems. Okay, well, tell me more about that. And I think we won't ever translate it back to, okay, I know you're headed towards cash, because I think that's our broader sort of vision, is can we get the legal function to spread the value, right? There's so much trapped inside when we kind of like, focus internally. And I think there's a lot more that we could do, because we're the ones, like you said, we're the lifeblood, right? So we see the customer at their most sensitive moment when they're starting to contract with the organization. They're asking like really good questions, hopefully. And there's insights that we get. How do you start pulling those insights out and pulling them back into the other parts of the business? And the people who...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the people who will spend the time to understand that is possible, they're amazing to work with, because whatever I come up with is wrong. they're still the person who's going to know the most about their business and what matters, right? And so I think the exercise is really, can we help them, get closer to that broader potential, not just for the legal function, but maybe for their career.
Yeah. Wow. That's, you're offering like life-changing solutions here.
Yeah, I think it's a long-term play. It's not a
okay. Contract international is. Oh, wait, a little glitch. That's okay.
Little glitch.
We'll chop this out later.
back to earth.
A little glitch. So let's back to boop. Okay, internet. Let's talk a minute or two about contract intelligence. We hear that now everywhere all the time. There are products named exactly that. contract intel. There's all these names, all the things, and they all do slightly different things, but all kind of the same. Tell me, what is contract intelligence to you?
I think it's purpose built for the business. I think the ones that are, here's the thing off the shelf, we think this is what you need. It's highly opinionated, and I go back to it's a disservice sometimes to the organization unless they are also one of the many other use cases, SaaS companies, electric companies, whatever it is, right, that this intelligent contracting tool has helped with. And no shade on them. I think that, we need a foundation to start with, right? So I think in most cases, if you could get to the value of contract data and contract intelligence, it's good. I think the thing that in-house teams especially should ask themselves is, if I get this stuff, what am I going to do with it? And is it going to really move the needle? Because I think we've gotten to a place where we really like the fancy dashboards because we want to show that legal is tech forward, and we're connected, and we've got this heartbeat monitor on how the business is running. All the things, right? But what do you do with that, right? How do you meaningfully convert, right, that into actions and plans and purpose? And I think so. Good that we have it, right? I agree with you. There's like every firm, every technology company you look at, they have some sort of more data, more automation. This is amazing for the legal function who's just trying to get a turnkey ready start. Just don't stop there. I think when you're buying off the shelf, understand that you're getting something off the shelf, right? It might be good for a lot of people, but you're, as with anything, we are different, and you have to remember.
So I like what I'm going to just, what I'm hearing from you, and this is a bit of a pendulum we see swinging too, in terms of customized, purpose built, and those are heavier back in the old day, right? That was just a lot of tech, a lot of development, very costly to maintain, a lot of dev hours and time. Obviously things have morphed, and everything is faster, smoother, quicker, cheaper in terms of customized solutioning. But we still have this big market shelf available, supermarket of contract related technologies. I'm hearing though you're saying, you know what, the pendulum is shifting back now. Don't buy off the shelf. Sounds like you're kind of pro customize from a tech perspective, which I think for a lot of in-house teams may be scary, but at the same time, they're also learning probably the hard way that the off-the-shelf stuff, that takes a whole other type of resource and energy to maintain and make it useful even to go live. Are you kind of saying, you know what, off the shelf's it's an uphill battle for most? Is that kind of a fair?
I think that's right. Like know the downsides of both approaches. If you customize too much and you don't have the expertise internally, it's a tough world. And if you take the thing off the shelf and you say that's mine, remember you're shooting for average, right? So anyone that's throwing legal questions into GPT, you're getting an average answer. It might be an interesting average answer, but you have to shape that thing up, right? So if that's the world of contract intelligence you want, go for it. Just remember there's work on the other side.
I love this. I love if average is good enough for you, then good job, right? But if you want more, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to put in some work. I do love that. I think also your points about data are super critical. We're always also saying, how many data points do you need? I want all of them. It's like a buffet. It's so exciting. I saw this in the demo. What are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? And then you got data overload that's not really useful, and it still takes time to develop those reports and make use of them. So I do like the, the make sure your dashboard is useful to you, actually useful, not just that it's nice to see, but that it's impactful to the business. Sounds like really, at the end of the day. So I think with that, we're right at time. Thank you so much. Love it. We'll have probably another session. Everybody I talk to, I'm like, yeah, we ran out of time. Of course we ran out of time. It's our favorite topic. We could go on forever. So thank you so much, Ronak. I really appreciate the insights. And we'll have to do this again sometime.
Thanks for the amazing start. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.